This stuff is shocking. Berberine works on the same pathways as a GLP-1 drug. Big Pharma does not want you to know about what's in their own published studies. You can read them yourself. But listen, Ozempic, GLP-1s, they may shrink your hunger, but there are, in fact, natural options that can do much of the same without the hefty price tag and without the risks that are associated with these injectables. So before you spend thousands on prescriptions that you've been told you're gonna need to take for the rest of your life, you need to know the truth about the research and the natural alternatives. The natural ingredients that don't just curb your appetite, they have the power to reset your hunger hormones. This isn't hype. This is clinical research that proves that there are natural appetite suppressants that actually rival prescription drugs. And today in this episode, I am going to share with you why the appetite control conversation has been literally hijacked. And there are natural options, but they are the last things that Big Pharma and these compounding pharmacies want you to find out about. But it's in their own research. Let me be clear. I'm a fan of GLP-1s. I think they're miraculous. I think they've helped save millions of people. They've changed lives. They are incredibly effective. And I'm talking about drugs like tirzepatide, Ozempic, Mounjaro, retatrutide. I'm a fan of these GLP-1s, so I want to be clear about that. But I also want you to know that there are alternatives. And the decision that you make should be an informed decision. It should be a decision that's made between you and an informed physician, not a physician that's been paid a ridiculous amount of money to basically approve you for your GLP-1. So in this episode, I'm gonna break it all down for you. I'm gonna help share exactly what Big Pharma's, their own studies revealed. And I'm gonna share with you what exactly it says, what it has to do with your appetite, your weight, and then most importantly, I'm gonna share with you the natural supplements you can get over the counter that are backed by human trials that regulate blood sugar, they shrink cravings, and they're helping tens of thousands, millions of people to lose weight without a GLP-1. Because when you understand the science behind these supplements, your belief in them is going to strengthen. And when your belief in the supplements strengthens, so do your results. My name is Chalene Johnson, and welcome to this episode of The Chalene Show, which when I decided I wanted to prepare this episode, I was curious to really understand some of the side effects that are associated with GLP-1s. So I started by going through the most recent research, and what I found was honestly shocking. Now, of course, it's not surprising that in the double-blind placebo studies related to GLP-1s, that some of the people dropped out. They dropped out of these studies because they were experiencing very uncomfortable side effects like nausea, stomach issues, all of it. And we've heard those things, so that was not surprising. But the part that really shocked me, you're not even going to believe this, is that some of the people who dropped out of their studies, are you ready for this? Were part of the placebo group. They weren't injecting the GLP-1 at all. They were injecting plain saline water. They were part of the placebo group. But because they had heard, as I'm sure you have, that there were so many different negative side effects related to GLP-1s, they started believing that they were experiencing these negative side effects, and they dropped out of the trials because they were experiencing these side effects, but they were just they were literally injecting saline water, and they quit the study. But here's the kicker. In their own studies, they report that people who were doing the placebo experienced, are you ready for this? Significant weight loss. Yes, people injecting saline water lost significant amounts of weight simply because they believed what they were injecting was going to result in weight loss. Now that led me to some very interesting questions. What if the supplement companies had the same type of marketing dollars as these big pharmaceutical companies, and they convinced us of the research related to these supplements? What if they were able to put the same marketing dollars behind the messaging to help us understand that by taking these supplements, we could, in effect, change our body's ability to regulate hunger, that we just weren't as hungry as often, that we didn't want to eat as much food, that we just weren't interested and we weren't hearing the same food noise? Because that's what's happening with Big Pharma. And it's something that's referred to as the placebo effect. Have you heard of the placebo effect? By the way, if you have enjoyed this content thus far and you're really excited for the rest of this episode, I would love to ask a favor. I would love to ask you to subscribe to The Chalene Show. Listen, there aren't a lot of YouTubers who are over 50. I'm 56 years old, and I think this is the type of story, this is the type of messaging that's really important for women our age to hear from. And the only way I'm going to get that message out there is if I get more subscribers, and I would love to ask you to help me to do that. It's such an important message, and I want to reach the right women. I want to get the right experts here on this show, and you can help me to do that. So please, if you will, it's free to subscribe. Just click that subscribe button and let me know in the comments, I subscribed. Let me know that you did it today. Let me know how old you are if you're comfortable sharing that, so that I can personally thank you for helping us to spread the word and to really get that message out there to the women who need to hear these things. And trust me, I am going to break down all of the natural supplements that can help you to control your hunger, that can help you to control your blood sugar, and can help you to lose weight naturally. But in order for me to do that, in order for you to have tremendous, incredible results from using some of these supplements, you need to understand the placebo effect. So let me break this down. Most people think of the placebo effect as you're taking something that's fake. Like if you got a placebo in your head, you believe it's going to work. But the science says something otherwise. Placebo is when your brain and your body responds to the belief that a treatment will work. And the crazy part, those changes are measurable. They literally show up in blood tests, hormone tests, brain scans, and real physical outcomes. For example, Harvard researchers looking at migraine patients, they took a group who thought that they were taking the real drug, and they reported that their pain had been cut in half. But get this, they weren't actually taking a drug. They were actually on a placebo. It was like a sugar pill. But their brains literally processed less pain. A Parkinson's study, patients who believed they were actually getting Parkinson's medication believed that they were being treated, and because of that, their brains released more dopamine, which improved their movement. With depression, brain imaging shows that placebo activates the exact same regions of the brain as antidepressants. So no, it's not just in your mind. It's not just mind over matter. Placebo, meaning what it is we believe is going to happen, changes our hormones. It impacts our neurotransmitters. It changes how your body responds to pain, to stress, to cravings, and it even changes your blood sugar response. So once you understand how something even like a supplement can actually improve your body's ability to control your hormones, once you've seen the studies, and once you believe that this is actually going to work, the more likely it is for you to have incredible results. Believing that a supplement or a medication will work significantly increases your chances that it will. It's a very powerful mind-body mechanism known as the placebo effect. And that effect is supported by a ton of scientific evidence. Your positive expectations are going to produce a very real, measurable improvement. Okay, so let's talk about why this matters. Because this entire conversation around appetite control, as I said, has been completely hijacked by Big Pharma. They have led you to believe that there's no way to quiet the food noise. There's no way for you to control your appetite unless you're on a GLP-1 for the rest of your life. Every news headline, every influencer, everything you see, everything you've been hearing in the last 2 years has been centered around this idea that like it's easier, it's effective, it quiets food noise, it's simple, it's easy, and also you need to take this for the rest of your life. You have been told that this is the most amazing weight loss drug that's ever been created. And you've also been told that it's going to improve every single marker of your health. They're telling you this and they're selling you this dream and they're programming into you this fear that if you ever go off it, the food noise, the uncontrollable hunger is going to immediately come rushing back. They have convinced people that if you don't take it for the rest of your life, you're going to be heavy, you're going to be fat, you're going to be obese. And they've also convinced consumers that you need to continually increase your dosage. So here's the thing. Whenever you believe something with that level of certainty, our brain, our neurotransmitters, and our hormones shift to match that belief. That is why the placebo groups in the trials worked so well. People were told this is going to work for you, and their bodies believed that, and they delivered those results, whether they were doing an injection of the GLP-1 or saline water. And again, I'm not here to tell you whether you should or should not go on a GLP-1. I do think that's an important conversation for you to have with your physician. And I also think that it's really important for you to understand that people are making a ton of money on these GLP-1s. Every single week, I get offered literally 6 figures to promote a GLP-1. And I just want to stay neutral. I think they are miraculous. But I also think that there are natural ways to curb your appetite and natural ways for people to lose weight. And I think we have to take into consideration the brainwashing and the money that's there to be made, not just for Big Pharma and the compounding pharmacies, but also for the influencers. We're going to take a little break because I'm really excited to share with you the supplements, which I'm going to in this episode, that I think are going to help your hunger hormones, your blood sugar, and also to help you lose weight naturally. But before we do that, can we talk for a moment about your skin? There are supplements that we put in our body that support our hormones, that support our organs, that, help us to improve our body composition. But your skin is the largest organ in your body, and your skin is fully exposed, which means that the largest organ in your body, we can treat it topically. Okay, so recently one of my girlfriends who's a breast cancer survivor, hi Jen Dovo, she was here visiting me. We've been friends since high school, and we're both the same age, obviously. And we were talking about like the major difference in our skin and what things really work. And she said, have you tried OneSkin? I'm like, I've seen other podcasters talk about it, but I personally have never tried it. So I ordered the OneSkin body lotion. It's a lotion with a patented peptide that specifically targets aging cells, tackling like thin skin, crepey skin. It improves firmness. It keeps your skin hydrated and plump. This stuff is amazing. I ordered it immediately because if one of my friends who's been through breast cancer, who's struggling with the same hormonal menopausal situation with her skin, she says this stuff works. I'm like, all right, let me try it. This lotion is basically like a supplement that you can actually put on your skin. I highly recommend OneSkin's O1 Body. It's a lotion that has patented peptides that are specifically formulated to target aging cells, like to tackle the thin skin. It improves firmness. It makes your skin plump and juicy. It holds in hydration. I love this lotion. In fact, my only complaint is that the largest bottle that they make is not big enough. I literally bathe in this stuff. She was so right, and she always is. Anyways, I reached out to the company right away and I said, I love this, but can you make a bigger bottle? Like, I literally need to take a bath in this stuff. And apparently they're working on it. But in the meantime, you get a nice little discount when you go to chalene.com/lotion. Again, it's OneSkin. I'm sure you've heard other podcasters talk about it. I feel like I'm like the last one to figure this stuff out, but it is freaking amazing. So now let's get to it. Let's get to the natural supplements that can actually help you to improve your blood sugar, reduce cravings, help you control your appetite, and to lose weight. Imagine what happens when you add these natural compounds, which actually have a biological effect, and they're backed by real science. But what I want you to notice here is that these are not exotic. These are not obscure powders being pushed on TikToks. These are actual nutrients, plant-based compounds that have been studied, some in massive human trials. And they've been shown to create real impact on appetite, hormones, and weight loss. So let's go through them one by one. First and foremost is vitamin D. Now, most people think of vitamin D as like, the bone vitamin, but it's actually a hormone regulator. And here's why it matters. When vitamin D is low, which it often is, especially for women over 40, insulin resistance goes up. That means that your blood sugar control weakens and cravings are increased, which makes it even harder for you to manage your weight. In a 2023 randomized controlled study, a trial with postmenopausal women showed that correcting vitamin D deficiencies improved their insulin sensitivity, reduced belly fat, and that's human data. This is not an animal study. So vitamin D isn't just about your bones. It isn't just about your immune system. It's about controlling your hormones. It's about metabolism. Next up, magnesium. Dude, you've been hearing me rave about magnesium for so long. I don't know how many videos I have done about magnesium. Magnesium, I think, is the most underrated supplement that you can take. This is a mineral that most people, especially women, are deficient in, and they don't realize that magnesium regulates over 300 different processes in the body. Everything from stress to hormones to sleep to blood sugar. In fact, one 2021 meta-analysis of human trials showed that magnesium supplementation significantly reduced fasting blood glucose and improved insulin sensitivity. Translation, your body is going to handle carbs better. You're going to have fewer crashes of your energy, fewer cravings, fewer like, oh, I need to eat that like right now, less food noise if you can get your magnesium levels in balance. A balanced level of magnesium is going to help balance your estrogen. It's going to improve your sleep. It's going to improve your stress. It's going to improve your blood sugar levels. And all of this helps you to maintain your weight and to lose weight, not to mention the benefits it has to your cortisol. Next up, omega-3 fatty acids. These are the healthy fats that you should be getting from fish oil or from algae, but most people aren't getting enough in their everyday, every week average diet. A large-scale human study conducted in 2022 found that higher omega-3 intake was linked to significantly better insulin sensitivity, a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes, and they also reduced inflammation. Inflammation is a hidden driver of cravings, which increases belly fat. Animal studies also have confirmed the connection to appetite. Those who supplement with an omega-3 tend to eat less and have healthier metabolic markers. But perhaps the most remarkable findings were the correlation between supplementing with an omega-3 and the improvement of insulin sensitivity and reduction in inflammation. What this means for the average person, for you and I, means that we're going to have a reduction in cravings, and it's much easier to maintain your weight. Now let's talk about berberine. Berberine is a heavy hitter when it comes to a natural supplement that helps you to control your weight, your food cravings, the food noise that people talk about. Berberine is a plant-based compound. It's often called nature's Ozempic. And by the way, all of these studies will be linked below in my show description, but berberine is a plant-based compound. There have been multiple human randomized controlled trials, and these trials have shown that berberine lowers blood sugar as effectively as metformin without a prescription. In one study from 2022, clinical trials found that berberine not only improved blood sugar, but it also reduced appetite and decreased body weight in adults. How berberine works in the body is pretty remarkable. It's pretty fascinating. Berberine activates the same AMPK pathways that GLP-1s target, which is why it's considered a natural alternative to GLP-1s. In fact, my own doctor, when I talked to him recently about the weight gain that I experienced when I was exposed to black mold, and we're looking at my cortisol levels, we're looking at, I think I gained like 6 pounds. And, I'm like, do I go on a GLP-1? Is this something I should consider? And he said, why not first increase your supplementation of berberine? So I went from taking 2 capsules a day to 4 capsules a day. And within about, I'd say 4 weeks, I lost 6 pounds. Pretty remarkable. So I only have like 2 more pounds left to lose. But I did think about going on a GLP-1. Like everyone I know is on a GLP-1. Shouldn't I do a GLP-1? Doesn't that just make sense? But yet at the same time, I didn't want to have to do something indefinitely. And I, like most people, have been brainwashed into believing if I were to go on a GLP-1, it's something I would have to do for the rest of my life. So why not consider a natural alternative like berberine? And frankly, without the dependency, without the nausea, without the high price tag, berberine is quite effective. Let's talk about fiber. Maybe you've been hearing people talk about fiber maxing. Fiber is probably the most underrated appetite suppressant, especially for women over 40. A 2020 human trial around fiber showed that people who took it before meals experienced significantly greater satiety, reduced calorie intake, and modest weight loss over 8 weeks. Fiber has been shown to improve gut health, reduce cravings, and improve insulin sensitivity. This year for me, I've added fiber. I started taking the fiber gummies from MIDI, and they've made a huge difference. They actually do make me feel full, but not uncomfortable. They don't make me feel nauseous. And I've heard from friends, I have a lot of friends who are taking a GLP-1, and they talk about feeling nauseous. They talk about feeling so low on energy that they can't go to the gym. And the gym for me is like, that's my therapy. I can't imagine feeling so low on energy that I didn't want to go to the gym. Like that would be the worst. So for me, just taking a couple of gummies, literally it signals my body that I'm full. It tells my brain to slow down glucose absorption, and studies show that it helps with your gut bacteria. And all of this leads to fewer cravings and steadier energy. Next up is your B vitamins. B vitamins, especially B6, B12, riboflavin, they don't directly shrink your appetite, but they regulate energy production, stress hormones, mood. In human studies, low B12 levels are linked to higher rates of fatigue, weight gain, and even depression. Your B vitamins are essential. By simply taking a B supplement, correcting your deficiencies, you're going to improve your energy, which is going to make it much easier for you to stick to your healthy habits and to lose weight. So while your B vitamins, they might not necessarily be considered appetite suppressants in the classic sense, they are essential to the bigger picture of your energy. Next, let's talk about ALA, alpha lipoic acid. ALA is a potent antioxidant, and here's where it gets really interesting. When you combine ALA with berberine, it amplifies glucose control, and it's going to reduce your cravings. Combine those two, and I'm telling you, you've got yourself pretty close to what your body could produce on a GLP-1. A 2021 clinical trial showed that ALA supplementation improves insulin sensitivity and it supports weight loss in overweight adults. Now, this particular supplementation, it's very powerful, but when you combine it with berberine, it is a serious blood sugar stabilizer. And this is really important for a big percentage of the population. But now let's talk about calcium and vitamin D, okay? Because calcium combined with vitamin D, most people think about, again, like I said earlier, bone health. But in postmenopausal women, calcium plus vitamin D supplementation has been shown in human trials to improve your body composition, meaning your relationship to body fat versus muscle. Now, while it's not necessarily an appetite suppressant, it does help with the formation of bone density, hormones, and metabolism. And all of that makes weight loss easier. So now let's pull this all together. Let's connect all of the dots. Berberine works on the same pathways as a GLP-1 drug. That's why they call berberine nature's alternative to Ozempic. Omega-3s and magnesium, that's what you need to supplement in order to improve your insulin sensitivity. Very important for weight loss. Vitamin D, calcium, and the B vitamins support hormones and metabolic function. And if I haven't mentioned it already, all of these things, all of these supplements are available over the counter. The FDA does not necessarily scrutinize and control supplementations the way that they do drugs. So because of that, who you order from and where you order your supplements matters. Do not order from Amazon. Listen, your girl loves Amazon. I've had like 5 Amazon deliveries today. But you don't want to get your supplements from Amazon because they just yet don't have like a great way of managing dupes. So order your supplements directly from the company. Now, I don't care who you order from. Obviously, if you order from one of the companies that I recommend, I'm going to get a little kickback. That's called an affiliate relationship. So I'm going to put a QR code here, and you are welcome to download the complete guide to the supplements that I take, the companies that I recommend. And I try to recommend more than one company because I don't know, I'm just not brand loyal, but I have done the homework. I've done the homework for you so that you know that these companies are GMP certified. Many of them offer a refund if for any reason you're not completely satisfied. But these are very reputable companies. But again, listen, I don't care who you order from. If I can save you time and money, great. All you do is take a screenshot. They often offer a discount for anyone who's a listener of the Chalene Show. I just ask that if you decide to go with a company other than one of the ones I recommend, which is great, that's fine. But do your research. Make sure that they are GMP certified. Make sure that they are third-party lab tested so that what you're getting, what they're claiming you get, is actually in the bottle. Again, just take a screenshot of the QR code, or you can see the link that's on the screen here if you want to have a download of all of the companies, of all of the supplements that I take. And you know, you don't take everything that I take, but I want to share that with you in case that makes life a little bit easier. But the beauty is that when you stack all of these together, you're not just relying on the mechanism of the supplement. You're covering multiple pathways that affect the appetite, that affect blood sugar, that affect hormones and your cravings. And the reason why, frankly, you haven't heard about so many of these supplements being like the key to weight loss or the key to quieting food noise is because Big Pharma doesn't make millions, billions of dollars off of these supplements. That's the bottom line. It's because there aren't billion-dollar profits to be made on vitamin D or vitamin B. Like, there just isn't the same financial incentive for a lot of these supplement companies. And so because of it, that the compounding pharmacies, the, Big Pharma, they spend billions of dollars convincing us, brainwashing us to believe that these things will work. And that is why people can inject a saline solution and have, are you ready for this? Statistically significant weight loss from injecting water. Because if we believe it's going to work, based on the studies, based on the brainwashing, then it does work. I don't say this to discredit GLP-1s. I know that they work. I know that they are saving lives. But I think it's really important that that as an influencer, that's what you want to call me, that I'm being honest with you about all of the things. And yes, there are natural alternatives that you should consider. And even if you are considering a GLP-1, do you really need to be on it for the rest of your life? What if you combined these things? What if you combined hormone replacement therapy and some of the supplements that we've talked about here today and slowly started to reduce your GLP-1 dosage? Oh my goodness. I'll tell you who will never tell you to consider that. Big Pharma. But talk to a doctor. If you're really interested in looking at the big picture, find a doctor who's going to be honest with you. Listen, I don't have all the answers, but I do think it's really important that we consider the motivation behind Big Pharma.